2, 1. Engines full power. And liftoff, Falcon 9. Go Axiom.
Stage 1 Alpha.
Copy, 1 Alpha.
Together we expand what is possible in low Earth orbit. Add Astra and Godspeed Ax-2.
T plus 36 seconds into flight. A great view of Falcon 9 heading to space.
Power telemetry is nominal. Stage 1 throttle down.
Power telemetry nominal. We're into the throttle bucket. Is the first stage is throttle down power on the Merlin engines in preparation for max Q.
Falcon 9 is supersonic.
Faster than the speed of sound as we're getting great views from the first stage camera looking back at Kennedy Space Center and Complex 39A.
Stage 1 throttle up. Max Q.
We're out of the throttle bucket.
Stage 1 Bravo.
Copy, 1 Bravo.
We're at full power, and that call out 1 Bravo, that's another one of those abort modes. As we get higher and faster, the logic for Dragon, should a contingency occur, changes from stage to stage.
Impact chill is underway.
Chill announcement says we're getting the turbo pump on the second stage engine cooled down in preparation for its light up coming up in just another minute from now. Again, great views looking back, and you can see the contrail as we left 39A and the shadow of the contrail against the cloud deck around Florida. And we're coming up 3 big sequences and a view live of the crew inside Dragon. They're getting ready. We're going to get 3 events here. Main engine cutoff, stage separation, and then we're going to light the second stage engine. We've heard the throttle down in preparation for stage separation.
Eco.
2 Alpha.
Stage separation confirmed.
Copy, 2 Alpha.
And back ignition.
Stage 1 boost back startup.
All right, stage separation. We've lit the second stage engine. The first stage is into the boost back burn, working its way back towards Cape Canaveral. Views on the left side, that's the first stage. Engine's running as we come back to the launch site, or the landing site. Second stage engine nozzle is visible on the right side as we're powering the Axiom 2 crew.
Orbit using the Draco thrusters, and about 7 hours later we had the boost burn. This put our crew in an orbit where Dragon's apogee, or the highest point of its orbit around the Earth, is 10 kilometers lower than the space station. After that, we execute the close co-elliptic burn, and this puts Dragon on an orbit roughly co-elliptic with the station, so it means it maintains that orbit about 10 kilometers lower than the station all the way around instead of just at apogee. The transfer burn occurred at about 2:47 a.m. this morning, Central Time. This is where we raised Dragon's apogee. Again, that's the highest point of its orbit to just 2.5 kilometers lower than the station. We want to make that co-elliptic one more time, so we round that out with the final co-elliptic burn. That was at 3:34 a.m. Central this morning, maintaining the constant orbit about 2.5 kilometers below the station. We also saw the approach initiation burn just at the start of today's broadcast. This really begins the final stages of Dragon's rendezvous with the station, and we started integrated operations between the Dragon control team in Hawthorne and the space station flight controllers here in Mission Control Houston. This approach initiation brought us up to waypoint 0. Waypoint 0 is 400 meters below the station. This is the first checkpoint during the approach. We have now entered the approach ellipsoid, that first boundary of monitoring the arrival and departure of visiting vehicles. Commander Peggy Whitson discussing with teams on the ground that they are still stepping through those final checks. Again, this is a view from inside Node 2, also known as Harmony. The Ax-2 crew today docked to the Zenith, or space-facing port. There is another Dragon spacecraft docked to the forward-facing port.
That is SpaceX Dragon configuration is complete at step 8.9 of 2102.
Houston copies.
SpaceX copies.
This crew, part of the 7 that are on the International Space Station, patiently waiting. There are 4 new crew members to arrive for the next 8 days. Not pictured in this frame, there are also 3 Roscosmos cosmonauts on board, including Sergei Prokopyev, Dmitry Petelin, and Andrei Fedyayev. So with the addition of these 4 crew members about to float on the space station, we will have an 11 total astronauts on station. And we have our first views of the Axiom crew members floating aboard. First is Commander Peggy Whitson rejoining the International Space Station. Next up is pilot John Shoffner making his first visit. Also on his first trip to space, you can see Ali AlQarni representing the Saudi Space Commission, all smiles as he floats through the Dragon hatch. And rounding out the Axiom 2 crew, that's Rayyanah Barnawi, also of the Saudi Space Commission. The crew of the space station is now 11 crew members. Big smiles from Rayyanah Barnawi. She is now the first female Saudi to go to space. With Commander Peggy Whitson at the helm, these astronauts are in good hands. Peggy has 665 days already lived in space. She's just adding to that total on this mission.
All right, we copy. We'll group up.
We have the crew that will fly on Soyuz MS-23 to return home later this year, as well as the crew that arrived on Crew 6, and now the Ax-2 crew.
Frank, Houston on 2, good scene check. We didn't hear audio on. Frank, we're checking the config on the ground. Stand by.
Frank, if you wouldn't mind, give us another long count. We needed to sync things up. Thanks, Frank. We're good on scene and voice.
We have the crew that will fly on Soyuz MS-23 to return home later this year, as well as the crew that arrived on Crew 6, and now the Ax-2 crew.
Frank, Houston on 2. Good scene check. We didn't hear audio on. Frank, we're checking the config on the ground. Standby. Frank, if you wouldn't mind, give us another long count. We needed to sync things up. Thanks, Frank. We're good on scene and voice.